Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This one is my team selection for game week 8, where we have a look at how my team's lined up, who I'm starting, who I'm benching, which players I'm thinking about selling and bringing in for the coming game weeks. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so I am ranked about 2 million at the moment. I'm not sure the exact rank, maybe 1.9 million or something like that. I've got 2 free transfers. I've got 0.3 million in the bank. Goalkeepers wise this week, I've got Raya, obviously, Fulham away, and I've got Dubravka. Usually there isn't much to talk about in terms of which goalkeeper I'm playing. I'm just going to play Raya most weeks. However, Dubravka's fixture, Leeds at home, is obviously one of the better fixtures that he has in the season. However, Arsenal defence is just too good. I can't not play Raya in most game weeks. If Raya was playing Liverpool, Man City, then maybe I'd consider playing Dubravka, but Fulham away is a pretty good fixture. At the moment, Muniz and Jimenez look like they might be injured as well, so without a striker, Fulham hopefully won't be able to do much against Arsenal, because I think I'm just going to play Raya. Onto the defence, this is one where I've got a couple of options here. I mean, Anderson I won't be playing, he's got Arsenal at home, that's just a terrible fixture, of course. There is a world where I could play Richards here. If I talk about the other guys for a minute, so Mukiele is one that I'm definitely playing. Wolves at home. Mukiele is also, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I love Mukiele. He is currently second behind only Senesi for defensive contributions per game. Now, he's not second in total defensive contributions because he missed the first 2 games. But since then, he's been brilliant for defensive contributions. And like I say, he's only second behind Senesi on a per game basis. So, in good fixtures, I'll definitely want to play him. And Wolves at home is one of those good fixtures. Gabriel, obviously I'm playing Gabriel. There's no reason not to play Gabriel. And then Senesi, this is one where it's actually probably quite close between Senesi and Richards. They're both good options. I wouldn't actually mind if I had to start both of them. They're both really good for defensive contributions. That game is actually pretty hard to call because they've both been performing really, really well at the moment defensively and going forward. So like I say, I wouldn't mind if I had to play both or either. However, you'll see when I get onto my midfielders that there's one big reason for playing Senesi over Richards, and that is that I have Semenyo in my team and I don't have a Crystal Palace attacker. There's no point in me playing Richards over Senesi when I'm playing Semenyo. I might as well play Senesi and Semenyo as a Bournemouth double up. That way I'm maximising the ceiling of my points. Senesi is in here over Richards and Semenyo is in here as well, obviously. Like I mentioned, not the best fixture for Semenyo. Crystal Palace have been one of the better teams, one of the better defences this season. And an away fixture, it's just not a great matchup really. But Semenyo's been playing such good football this season that I can't really bench him. And I'm definitely not selling him. So Semenyo will be playing. If we move over to Bruno Fernandes, he's one that a lot of people are selling him this week. A lot of people won't be going with him on wildcard, I know that much. I still like him as a pick. I mean, he has obviously missed 2 penalties. He's missed out on DEFCON by 1 defensive contribution a few times now as well. I think it would be a very different story if he'd scored those 2 penalties and he'd hit DEFCON in those 2 games. I think a lot of people would be considering him not necessarily as a must-own, but as like a really, really popular pick. The one thing I will say is that the position he's playing in as a more defensive midfielder in kind of a pivot, he is quite expensive. I think 9 million is a lot to pay for him, but at the moment where people aren't going with Salah, Cole Palmer's not fit, I don't think we've got budget constraints really. I'm fine with Bruno Fernandes in my team. A lot of people also considering moving like a Gyökeres and a Bruno Fernandes to a Saka and a different forward. I get that move. I kind of agree with that move because I think Saka is slightly better than Gyökeres, and we'll go through my transfer plans at the end once I've shown all of my team. I'm just not sure it's worth the transfers. And then I've got the City double up in midfield of Reinders and Foden. Again, a lot of people are selling Reinders this week. That's one I don't particularly get either. I think this is a pretty good fixture for these guys. Unless we somehow find out before the deadline that one of them's benched or something like that, I'm very happy rolling both of these guys out. I don't think Foden will be in my team for much longer. He'll probably be leaving within the next couple of weeks. And if we find out he's benched, of course, then he'll be going this week. That seems unlikely. Yeah, I just don't mind this fixture at all. I mean, I don't think Everton are a particularly unbelievable defence. They obviously heavily rely on Branthwaite to be a good defence, and currently he's not back. I don't think he's due back for game week 8 either. So I'm kind of fine with playing both of these guys. We've seen a lot of the City goals obviously just go through Haaland, and I'm fine with that because I own Haaland. It would be quite nice if the likes of Reinders and Foden could just pick up an assist or two. On to the forwards now, and Gyökeres is still in here, João Pedro is still in here. Haaland is obviously the captain this week. If we talk about João Pedro first, João Pedro is someone that I am definitely not selling. So many people have sold him this week, but for me, he's just not someone I'm looking to sell. The fixture this week is about as good as it gets. Nottingham Forest under Ange have been next level bad. Think about game week 7. So Nottingham Forest played Newcastle. Newcastle hadn't looked like a good team going forward or attacking wise until that point. The highest XG that they'd registered in the league from game week 1 to 6 was 1.5 XG. They were looking good defensively, but going forward they hadn't looked great. They put up 3.2 XG against Nottingham Forest in game week 7. Yes, maybe Newcastle found something going forward. Gordon was back as well, so maybe that did help. But I think that Nottingham Forest being so defensively bad also contributed to that. I certainly won't be selling a forward up against Nottingham Forest. Yes, João Pedro hasn't been doing what he should have been doing in the last few weeks at least, because he's barely taken any shots. He hasn't really been given much of a chance though. When Chelsea went down to 10 men against Man United, Maresca took all of the attackers off apart from João Pedro and basically left him all up there on his own. In the next game, again, Chelsea got another player sent off and went down to 10 men. He hasn't really been put in positions to score points. Like I say, the fixtures are really good, so I'm fine with keeping him. Gyökeres is another one that I'm kind of fine with keeping at the moment. If I was on wildcard, and you'll have seen from my wildcard draft video earlier this week that I wouldn't have Gyökeres on wildcard. I would have Saka. I do prefer Saka as an option to Gyökeres. I just don't think it's worth 2 free transfers to make the switch between the two. I still think Gyökeres is going to be a really good option. I don't think just because Saka took the penalty in the last game that means that he is going to take every single penalty going forward. I do think Gyökeres will take the odd penalty. It may be a more 70-30 split towards Saka. I'm fine with that. I still think Gyökeres from open play will get enough chances, will score enough goals. I'm fine keeping him. Like I say, on wildcard, I would have Saka over him, but I don't think the difference is enough to use 2 free transfers on it. Speaking of Arsenal, I would, if I was on wildcard, go with Timber instead of Raya as well. But again, it's not worth using 2 free transfers to sell one of these defenders I've got that are all pretty good to make that move. And as I mentioned, Haaland is my captain. There will be no changing in that. He came back from the Norwegian national team squad early as well, didn't play in the second game, so he's well rested. Everton don't look great, and Haaland looks absolutely fantastic, so he will definitely be my captain. I do have 2 free transfers. I have 0.3 million in the bank. Apart from the likes of Phil Foden, who I do think will have to leave my team soon, there is no one else that I'm particularly bothered about selling. I've got Stack here on the bench. He is just someone that will be on the bench every single week. If one of my other attackers, so midfielders or forwards, have a bad fixture, I'm more likely to play one of the other 2 defenders over Stack. Stack is pretty much a 14th player at this point, or 15th if you count Dubravka. There's not a world where I'd play him in any game, I don't think, so I'm not particularly bothered about selling him. And besides Timber, who I've kind of made my bed now that I've got Raya and Gabriel, and the same as Saka, I've kind of made my bed that I've got Gyökeres over Saka. Besides those guys, there are only 2 players that I actually would like in my team now or soon. Now, one of those players is Enzo Fernandez. I think Enzo Fernandez is a fantastic option this week. If you're buying a midfielder this week, Enzo Fernandez is the one to buy. The first reason for that is because Cole Palmer's out, meaning that not only will he play in the 10, but he'll also most likely be on penalties. He did take the most recent penalty without Palmer on the pitch. And look at the fixtures. Nottingham Forest away, Sunderland at home, Tottenham away is okay, Wolves at home. That takes you to the next international break. It's kind of likely that Palmer won't be back before the next international break. So those 4 fixtures, he will most likely get in the number 10 and on penalties, and then Burnley after as well. And not only that, he is in the top 10 for XG this season. And yes, it's a tiny bit skewed because he has taken 1 penalty, but it's only 1 penalty. He'd still be in the top 10 if you take that penalty out as well. I just think he is a fantastic option. Like I say, the fixture with Nottingham Forest away can't get much better this week. So I think if you're buying a midfielder, I would definitely be buying Enzo Fernandez. I'm not too worried about the fact that he came back from national duty a bit early because of a problem with his knee, supposedly. I highly doubt that keeps him out in Saturday's game. Yes, I'm recording this on Wednesday evening, so I haven't heard any press conferences yet. You may be watching this once Maresca's had a press conference and he might be saying more about it, but with no further information at the moment, I think that Enzo will just play. And another midfielder that I'm definitely considering buying in my team, not this week, but is Sarr. He has missed a few games. You can see 5 appearances in 7 game weeks, so he's missed 2 games, yet he is still in the top 10 for XG. Really impressive. And that's without taking any penalties as well, because he's not a penalty taker for Crystal Palace. We know that Crystal Palace are just performing at a next level right now, and their fixtures are really good. Now, the next 2 weeks, not so much. Bournemouth at home is all right, in all fairness. Arsenal away in game week 9, not great. But from game week 10 onwards, Brentford at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away, and then the fixtures are pretty good after that as well. So Ismaila Sarr is one player that I'm definitely looking at bringing into my team soon, and it may coincide quite well with me wanting to sell Foden, because if we go back to my team, the only midfielder that I'm that bothered about selling is Foden. Now, like I say, if we randomly get news that Foden is out this week, then I'll probably buy Enzo instead, because I think the next 2 fixtures for Enzo are so much better than Sarr's. But if we don't, I'm happy to hold Foden for this week and next week, and then move to Sarr once he's got rid of that Arsenal fixture. And then in terms of defenders and forwards, I'm pretty happy keeping everyone I've got. Like I say, I wouldn't necessarily choose to go with Raya in goal right now, but it's not worth a move to go to Pope or Sanchez or Petrovic and then move one of the defenders to Timber. I'm really not sure which defender I'd even sell. Maybe Richards, because I don't play him that much, or Anderson, but Anderson's fixtures in game week 10 are brilliant. I'm kind of fine. I've made my bed with Raya. I'm happy to keep him. Now, one thing that I do want to do is just show you what my team looks like for the coming game weeks if I don't make any transfers. So we're looking at this for game week 9, which is Raya and Gabriel of Crystal Palace at home. I would play Senesi with Forest at home because that's a nice fixture. The third defender slot is a bit difficult this week because Richards plays Arsenal away, Mukiele plays Chelsea away. I don't like either of them. I'd have to go with Anderson with Newcastle away. Not the worst fixture, but Fulham aren't exactly a particularly great defence at the moment. Yes, Anderson has DEFCON, and maybe this is one I just take on the chin and say it's not the best fixture, so fine. And also, to be honest, this Newcastle attack, we've only seen it perform well in 2 games so far this season. One was against Nottingham Forest in game week 7, which could be an outlier because it could have just been Nottingham Forest being terrible. And then also in the Champions League against Union SG, I think it was. Maybe this fixture is just fine for Anderson. Then into the midfield, we've got Semenyo of Forest at home, great fixture. Bruno Fernandes of Brighton at home, good fixture. Foden and Reinders with Villa away, okay fixture. Not a bad fixture actually, I'm kind of fine with it. Haaland obviously. João Pedro Sunderland at home, lovely. Gyökeres with Crystal Palace at home, not too bad. And then the bench is the bench. If we go on to game week 10 now, this is where Arsenal's fixtures are really good. So Burnley away for Raya, Gabriel, Gyökeres. I would probably start Mukiele here with Everton at home. I don't mind that fixture. And then Anderson with Wolves at home. And this is where Senesi has City away, so I'd bench him. I could even play Richards as well, or over one of these other defenders, to be honest. And then it's Foden, Reinders and Haaland with Bournemouth at home. This is the week where I'd potentially be looking to do Foden to Sarr, because as you can see, Richards has Brentford at home, so Sarr would have Brentford at home as well. I think that's probably a much better fixture, and Foden and Man City will come into a really congested fixture schedule now, so I maybe wouldn't want Foden in the team. The likes of Shirky will be back, Marmoush will be back as well, so I think I probably just prefer Sarr to Foden from this game week onwards. When I wildcarded in game week 6, I didn't plan to keep Foden for weeks on weeks on weeks, so it was always a transfer I knew I'd need to do. At the time, I thought I'd probably be going up to Palmer from game week 8 because the fixtures are really nice. However, Palmer's not fit now, so I would be going to Sarr. Bruno Fernandes has Nottingham Forest away, which if Ange is still in charge, great fixture. Semenyo has City away, not the best fixture, but we've seen that the City defence isn't exactly elite right now, and to be honest, I think Semenyo is probably just fixture-proof at this point. And João Pedro has Tottenham away. I could actually play Richards instead of João Pedro here, but I probably won't do that. And then if we move on to game week 11 as well, so again, Arsenal have a great fixture, Sunderland away. In defence, I've got a couple of options again, so Senesi with Villa away, Anderson with Everton away, and then Richards with Brighton at home. I'd happily play any of the 2 of those 3, and then Mukiele has Arsenal at home, so I won't be playing him. This is where City's fixtures are a little bit worse, so I'd maybe have sold Foden by this point. I'd keep Reinders, but I could probably bench him. Bruno Fernandes against Tottenham, fine. Semenyo against Villa, fine. And then the front three have got nice fixtures as well. Well, Haaland has Liverpool, but then João Pedro's got Wolves, Gyökeres has got Sunderland. So up to game week 11, I'm kind of looking okay. And if I've done the Foden to Sarr move last week, then I could actually upgrade stack if I wanted to. I'd have a bit of money in the bank. I'd have free transfers to do it. I'm not going to say that I've got a player in mind for this. I mean, Enzo Fernandez could be that guy as well, to be honest. I'll leave that open. Maybe I don't even want to do it at that point. So yeah, the team looks pretty good all the way up to game week 11, and then I can make moves based on what's happened up to that point. If we go back to my current team for this week, like I say, I'll likely be rolling my transfer, or if we hear that Foden's not going to play, then I'll probably move him to Enzo Fernandez. Right, before we close out the video, I just want to give a shout out to FPL.fun. If you don't know about them, check it out. Really cool website. You can set up your mini league so that the scoring is just in completely different ways. They've got really cool things on there. In one of my leagues with my mates, we've got F1 style scoring. It really makes you think about the moves differently. So like I say, check them out, fpl.fun. But that's all for this one. If you've got any questions on my team, if you've got any questions on any players, if you've got any questions on your team, drop it all in the comments. But like I say, that is all. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.